courthouse.
Okay, the chair recognizes our district attorney.
Good evening. As Mayor Cordell says, my name is Craig Northcott. I had the honor and privilege of being the district attorney for the 14th Judicial District of Tennessee. That is Coffee County. As most of you probably know, I've never come before this body before. So all y'all are intelligent people, and probably the first question on your mind is, why is he here now?
Is your microphone?
I am here to address what I believe is a community safety issue at our courthouses. I'm here because I have 21 people under my care and employment that I send to that courthouse on a daily basis. I'm here because I care about all the people who work at that courthouse every single day. I'm here because I am the top law enforcement official in this county, and I think I have a duty to the public to do everything I can to ensure its safety. I'm here because I stood up in front of each of you 4 years ago when I was seeking election and said, hold me accountable. Hold me accountable for what I did. I'm here because I said I would do the same, that I would hold everyone else accountable that was in my purview. I'm asking you to hold me accountable today. I'm asking for your help. I want to say at the front of this, I have failed through inaction. I am accountable. What motivated me to action is I found myself recently, quiet moment at home actually, thinking, Craig, you have a rare opportunity here where you don't have 18,000 things pulling at you. You need to take this time and figure out how you're going to address the spouse and children of one of your employees when they get shot, seriously injured, and killed at the courthouse, and explain to them why you did that. I said, that's crazy, Craig. What are you doing? That's stupid. You gotta act. That's why I'm here. I don't want to be here. I prefer not to be here. I think my record for 3.5 years of avoiding you as best I can proves that. But I have a duty to act. I'm asking for your help. What's the problem? Our courthouse security does not even come close to meeting the minimum statutory requirements for courthouse security. Not even close. It's not up for debate. It doesn't meet it. Hot document I've given to you here is the response by the Attorney General in 2010 to a request from a judge. It's actually the Hawkins County Juvenile Court judge, asking about this very thing. Asked who's responsible for courthouse security. By statute, it's clear. There's only one person, and that's the sheriff. He has the absolute responsibility to provide courthouse security and security in every one of the courtrooms therein. The second question, or additional question, was what are the requirements for a courthouse security officer in the state of Tennessee? Statute lays it out. I'll ask you to turn to the last page of that first document and look at the last paragraph. You're obviously welcome to look at this whole document, but this last paragraph sums up what the requirements are. Paragraph 3 reads, deputy sheriffs who serve as bailiffs, like all other deputy sheriffs, are required to obtain peace officer certification from the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission. We refer to that as post, have their post certification. In addition, deputies who are newly assigned to course are required to successfully complete post-approved basic training in courtroom security and thereafter obtain additional continuing education in post-approved courses on an annual basis. So it basically requires 4 things when you break it down. 1, you have to be an officer who's gone through the academy, has gone through the basic requirements to be a police officer in this county, in this state. First requirement. Then you have to maintain that certification, which requires continuing education, continuing training every year to maintain that certification. After you meet that basic standard to be a police officer, in order to be courthouse security, you got to do an additional step. You got to go to a 40-hour certification class in courthouse security. Every year thereafter, if you continue to be in the courthouse and part of that security, you have to do 16 hours of continuing training in courthouse security. That is the basic minimum requirements for each and every courthouse security officer there. Anyone want to venture how many officers in the county we have that meet those minimum qualifications? 0. None. It's unacceptable. It's pitiful. 0. I asked for the Sheriff's Department to give me a list of the names, date of birth, date that they became post-certified, the date they attended the initial courthouse security training, and the dates for the last 5 years when they got their continuing education for everyone who served as a courthouse security officer in the last 5 years. There are currently, according to the information given to me by the Sheriff's Department, there are currently 4 people assigned to the courthouse who have a post-certification. One of them is out on workers' comp. So we really have 3 assigned to the courthouse right now. We have 4 courtrooms, plus the rest of the courthouse. And we have 3 post-certified officers assigned. I did not get when they went to post. I did not get any information about whether or not they have continued their post-certification. I want to assume they have. I then asked for who's gone to the courtroom security. I was given 8 certificates for that training. 2 of them are no longer at the courthouse. None of them were the post-certified officers. None. All of these went to the courthouse security training in either August or October of 2016, or January, there's one that went in January 2017. Near as I can tell, none of them have had their follow-up continuing 16 hours since then. No evidence has been provided to me that has occurred. There's one officer who's worked there for years who has done neither. Neither. We can't continue this way. Told you I was accountable. I was part of the problem, so I stayed quiet. I can't stay quiet anymore. I won't stay quiet anymore. Our community safety is at risk. What are the results of this failure? I'm going to cover things that have happened that I became aware of in the 3.5 years or so that I've been DA. And I have to tell you, it's not going to be everything, because I don't want to hear me that way. It's not going to be everything. I can't remember everything that I became aware of. But I also know that there are things that have happened that I never became aware of as well. And it's just for the last 3.5 years. And I'm going to take them, in my view, from probably the lowest level infractions and work our way up. We have court officers who have not gone through the post-training where they're taught about standards on weapons retention, being conscious of your weapon, being aware of your surroundings. That's why law enforcement goes to those basic training, is to become aware of these things, become proficient in them, know that it's important. I've seen courtroom officers, I don't know how else to describe it, but to say go up and love on the defendant while they're armed. In the courtroom, or in the middle of court proceedings, arm around them, gun exposed. They're unshackled, they get that weapon at any time. We have officers who are great people, wonderful guys, wonderful women, that I consider friends, who simply are physically unable to serve. I'll pick on my friend Andy here. I think he would agree with me that as he sits here right now, he is not qualified to be a courthouse security officer. But with the proper training, I have every confidence that he could be. It's not an attack on him personally to say that he's not qualified. He just isn't. Could be, but he's not. Pick on my friend Bob up there. I think he also would agree that he is not qualified to be a courthouse security officer. I think he'd also agree no matter what training we gave him, he would never be qualified to be a courthouse security officer. It's not mean, it's just the truth. We've had courthouse security officers who literally could not care for themselves. They were wheelchair bound. Really? We've had courthouse security officers that are basically legally blind. We have folks who come to court on one charge. We get to court, we're aware that they have a warrant out for their arrest. So we have them arrested on that warrant. and then get taken into custody. Well, that person has gone through the metal detectors at the front door. Should not have weapons, cell phone, lighter, anything like that on them as they make it through there. I've watched for years, since 2000 when I first came here and started being an attorney. People walk through the metal detector, it go off. Many years, what would happen when it goes off was, well, hon, do you have a knife, a gun, or a bomb on you? No. All right, go on. No pat down, no wanding, nothing. Just go on. Still happens. We have the wands, but we don't use them. Just recently, had a gentleman come in for court. He has another warrant out for him. Arrested, placed into the holding cell there outside second court. He has a cell phone on. He gets the cell phone back in to the holding cell. Shouldn't have been able to make it in the courthouse with a cell phone, but he did. What happens? He used the cell phone in the holding cell. Another inmate, violent inmate, says he wants it. And he stomps the living daylight out of this guy with a cell phone to get it. Y'all are all facing, this county is now facing a lawsuit because of that. He was airlifted to an area hospital because of the nature of his injury. This is a problem. February 15th of this year, Holden Court, Jerry Letzinger's courtroom. We have someone who showed up late to court. They're placed in the jury box there in his courtroom under his policy for being late. Aren't allowed to come and go out of the courtroom. Same policy, someone is on probation, has to sit in the jury box to get drug tested. Someone gets picked up on a warrant, they will be sat in that jury box. Since there are sometimes defendants are sat in that jury box who come in custody. And there are these bathrooms in what we call the jury room, just off the courtroom. And those people are allowed to use those restrooms when they're in those restrictions. February 15th, guess when I started thinking about what am I going to have to say to the spouse and children of my employees. We all know about what happened 10 months ago. That should have been a wake-up call. 10 months ago, we have a gentleman who's desperate, facing essentially the rest of his life in prison between federal and state charges. He's so desperate, so acting out, such a security risk that we segregate him to the third floor holding cell by himself. His business in court is resolved. It's time to transport him back to the jail. We send one elderly deputy not meeting the minimum standards required by statute training by himself to the third floor that is otherwise unoccupied to get this prisoner. We all know what happens next. He's overpowered. His weapon is taken from him. He is shot. Another deputy shot on his way out. And it ends up shooting himself after he's cornered by other officers. What do we do in response? We move the desk from one wall to the other. That's it. That was the only thing that was done in response to that. That's it. It's unacceptable. Well, right now, you should be asking yourself, Craig, what have you done about this? You owe a duty to this community. What have you done? Short answer is not enough. I waited. I had private conversations with the sheriff. I had some conversations with some of his staff, but not enough. Mayor Cordell has taken the leadership role for the past several years. There is a committee, a courthouse security committee, that's required by statute. He has made sure that we have met at least quarterly for the past several years to discuss issues. But all we can do through that committee is one-time expenditures. And we've done about all we can, or at least have it in the process. Upgraded surveillance videos. We have started the process of securing the exterior doors. We have done several things that are one-time expenditures, but we can do nothing about personnel. We have no control over that. There's only one man sitting in this room that has control over that, the sheriff. I tell people all the time, all you do is talk about the problem, but don't give a solution. All you do is whine. I don't want to whine. I'm here asking for help. What can we do? We got to demand at least the minimum standards of every one of our officers. I love these guys. Some of them, I know probably all of them, would stand between me and someone intent on doing me harm and do everything they can to prevent it. That's not what this is about. I love these guys. I consider them friends. I am not trying to do anything to them, take their jobs, have them harmed. But they've got to meet the minimum statutory requirements. They just got to. I joined several DAs a couple years ago and began a push to get law enforcement officers redefined to include DAs and assistant DAs for the purposes of carrying a firearm in courthouse. That went into effect July 1st of this year. It requires each of us to have training that is the minimum firearm training for every law enforcement, post-certified law enforcement officer. Within 2 months of that law going into force, we completed that training. Why? Because I wanted to be part of the solution. Frankly, some days we're the best trained people in the courthouse. On that subject, in this packet, you'll see Tennessee Code 3917-1306, part of the criminal code. It says that if a person brings a firearm into a building where judicial proceedings take place, it's Class C felony, or just to have them in there. There's an exception for law enforcement. Law enforcement means post-certified. Every time a non-post-certified officer is in that building with a firearm, they're committing a felony. Every time. How long can I overlook this? I have no intent on arresting those people. But the fact is, they're committing a felony. And there's a reason for these standards. It's to make sure that we can handle the situation properly when it happens. That we are providing the best protection that we can for the community. There's another statute right after that, 38-8-105, that might get y'all's attention. Might help motivate y'all to act. This statute says that anyone who knowingly allows an officer who does not meet the minimum requirements to serve, allows them to be hired or paid, or signs their checks, commits a Class A misdemeanor. Y'all are all now aware of the problem. What do I hear as to the reason why this isn't being fixed? Money. I don't know. I've got enough jobs. I don't need another one managing the county's budget or the sheriff's department's budget. I don't know. But if it is a money issue, we got to deal with it. We got to do what is necessary to provide the basic minimum security. We hear all the time now, and justifiably so, about security of schools. And we need to take that seriously, and that is an important issue. But let me tell you the difference between security at the school and security at the courthouse. Security at the school is planning and hoping and having in place measures to prevent what you hope never is going to happen. A bad guy shows up with evil intent, and we're prepared to stop it. We need to take that seriously. That's important. And what the difference is with the courthouse, we make the bad guys go to the courthouse under threat of imprisonment. Murderers, rapists, gangbangers, we make them come there. It's not if the bad guys are going to be there, they are there. We better be ready to deal with it. In my opinion, we need at least 2, if not 3, qualified security officers in each courtroom when it's in session. We need at least 2 more at the front desk and 1 roving. We have, at times, it's very common to have 3 courtrooms going on at once. It's not a rare event to have 4. And every once in a blue moon, we'll actually use this facility as a courtroom. That would make 5 going on at once. You do the math on that. Steve needs some help. I don't know if the money's in the budget or not. I don't know if it's already been allocated to him or not. But you owe it to have the discussion with him. You need to make sure that he has money in his budget to do the proper training. I'll let him address that. He knows it better than I do. Y'all know it better than I do. I've not ever looked at it. That's not my job. But we got to get there, folks. June 19th, 2017, we can't say if it'll happen in Coffee County. We're out of excuses. I want your help. I'm happy to take any questions.
Commissioner, do you have any questions?
I used to work with CASA a little bit, so I know what you're talking about. We used to put a purse on that conveyor belt, and somebody told me that thing didn't work. Is that true?
Depends on the time. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
That works fine.
Can I answer any other questions? I appreciate y'all's attention and your time. For a trial attorney, I did pretty well in keeping it short.
Thank you, Greg. Any other questions?
Mayor, you have a suggestion on how we proceed with this information?
Yes, I think it's appropriate that we refer this for further discussion to the Community Corrections Partnership Committee to review. And then secondly, as far as budget items, it'd be looked at intensely with budget fines as we move forward.
Can I ask the sheriff if he'd like to comment on anything?
All I'm going to say is, the PCA codes can be determined or interpreted different ways. I'll be giving everyone a copy of the digital conference and implementation digital conference, minimum standards recommendations. Sure, we need more training. We're working towards that. I thought we were doing good. We got 4 post-certified officers in the ordinance. I think our surrounding counties might have 1, and the rest of the officers they use are part-time. That's how they get around. And, we're not trying to get around, and we're trying to increase, because we know it can happen. But I have full confidence in every officer that's at the courthouse. And now, they do need additional training. I've got a trained officer there full time. And just got, it's not something that when I look at, with the judges into it,
I would say to this body that I went to a CTAS training session in August of 15 on court security. It is very informative, and in that training session, the presenter mentioned that by law, each county, all 95 counties must have a functioning court security committee and make a report to your legislative body by May the 15th of every year. I checked back on records, and that report had never been made to the legislative body over the years. And so we're committed to do that. We've done that now since the last 2 years. Carrying that forward, we've talked about many security measures we could take. And we are now, I think the process is virtually being completed on putting high resolution definition cameras in the courthouse, panic buttons, and we've taken many measures right now. Andy and Matt are working on the secured entrances, where we got a state grant of $22,000 some odd dollars on that, and Andy's proceeded on that, and we're getting those door locks changed so their employees there will have a secured entrance, and all the court officers there and personnel will be having a required card. They'll be getting a secured card with a picture on that for ID purposes. So going forward, we've taken that measure, but we're doing all that we can on that side of it to make sure that is a secure facility. And other measures have been taken and will be taken. But we have, as the DA said, many meetings to address court security. And so we're trying to be on top of that on our part, as far as we can't enforce training or whatever, but the other measures we've pretty well taken. We owe that to the citizens of our county to provide security, certainly at the courthouse, as well as other areas of the county.
Well, I certainly would like to be certain that this gets on the next commission agenda and stays on the commission agenda until resolved, because our district attorney is, as he said, put us on notice that we're all subject to a Class A misdemeanor here until it's resolved. I don't want it on my record. I don't think y'all do either.
No, we don't.
I will say that the director of the Tennessee Law Enforcement Academy, who is also a member of the First Commission, has approved every officer of course. And I think Captain Banks has their records to
just a
As I
few.
said, we will be putting that on our CPP committee agenda to review, and it will be on the future commission meetings, I assure you of that. Commissioner Ori?
I was just gonna say, now that we're getting close to working on the budget this year, maybe, we can scratch out some money for some training. You know, find what items we currently have in the budget, and maybe we get some officers in training before, the summer ends.
I will say, we do not have a training, but that's something we're probably going to look at. We've been using it all out of the trust fund, and the drug fund.
Yeah, that's why it's, you know, working with budget and finance and looking deep into what you do have, Sheriff Graves, in your budget. And I'm not sure what training cost. You know, we passed tonight for commissioners to get a pay raise. You know, maybe that money could have went to that, I'm not sure.
Mr. Duncan?